Ministry of Transport addressed a news conference on the implementation of the new road safety law.
The funds for this absolutely needed infrastructure for the people in Africa. But while EU provides the expensive investment, the governments are not protecting the roads, with the result of early destruction of this expensive investment. Consequence is that EU stopped supporting new roads in Africa recently, considering that huge investment is a waste of money. The midlife of a road is about 30 years, and by good protection and maintenance can last much longer. Unfortunately, uncontrolled overloading by trucks leads to early fatigue and destruction of the roads, shortening considerably their life, sometimes even to the half. Early destroyed roads by overloading remain destroyed for a long time because the governments do not have the means to reconstruct again, and the donors are not willing to waste their money in unprotected roads. Final result, destroyed roads makes transport and life of people difficult, especially in remote areas, and finally the ordinary people pay the price for this neglection.
Well, on Tuesday of this week, the Minister of Health provided us some update on the current status of the health sector. Dr. Wilhelmina Jala disclosed plans for the establishment of a special drug task force in the country. This task force is intended to ensure that essential drugs are monitored and equally distributed to health-related services across the country. Dr. Jala said due to the importance of the monitoring aspect of the drugs, she will be a key member of the task force.
The drug supply or monetary amount is average. It's not that big. I'm not going to call the amount on the air, but it's not that big. And so, you know, we have two types of drug supply.
Surely.
We have one that the partners supply, the HIV, the reproductive, the tuberculosis. Those drugs are one set of drugs. But the essential medicine that we need for the day-to-day uses in the clinic, that one is in short supply. So as we work with different companies to come in, and we are working with them to say, look, how much of this essential medicine can you give us, you know, until we can pay you? Some kind of a system for them to keep supplying. But we at Bates have to make sure we know what we need first. Because even if they put a lot of drugs in the system and it's not controlled in terms of making sure that it gets to the drug depot and from the depot to the community and in the right hands, then, you know, will not make any difference. So,
Health Minister Dr. Wilhelmina Jala. Well, the President of Liberia, Charles Coffey, says financial inclusion is critical to the survivability of journalists. He said there's a need for national government to provide a loan program for reliable members of the media to benefit in a move to help strengthen the sector.
We've also been following the situation with the late Tyrone Brown at the court. The court is going through the process. Again, we call on the judicial branch of government, which has that judicial sovereignty, to make sure that the court that is responsible to speed up with this investigation, so we can have a concluding part, which is a logical conclusion as it relates to the perpetrators. That will serve as a deterrent. So we've been receiving maximum cooperation from the judiciary. The first thing that the perpetrators are now behind bars, and we are concerned about the adjudication process. We think we are making progress on that. I was in Nima to attend a forum on the economic of our country, the business climate of our country. And our position was very clear. We talked about financial inclusion. That means financial obligations, banking institutions, every individual of the country must have access to the financial process of our country. In the period,
President of the Press Union of Liberia, Charles Coffey, is calling for more support to journalists in loan schemes. Well, President Weah on Wednesday dedicated a boat station in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. The facility was constructed by the United States government and will be used by the Liberia Coast Guard. Speaking at the program, U.S. Ambassador Kristen Elder said the expansion of this Coast Guard boat station beyond the Freeport of Monrovia is quite significant.
So we are committed to continuing the development of Liberia's Coast Guard so that you can better patrol and protect all of Liberia's territorial waters. But to accomplish that goal of continuing the reach, Liberia needs to expand beyond just the Freeport of Monrovia and Buchanan, eventually establishing a presence in Greenville and in Harper. However, to do this, we've got to keep the Liberia Coast Guard strong and growing, and it will require a sustained commitment on the part of government and the legislature in terms of budget to be able to maintain that progress as you go forward so it can be built upon in the extension to these other areas so that you cover the entire coast of the country.
Madam Ambassador, I want to take this time to extend my heartfelt thanks and appreciation.
U.S. Ambassador there speaking. Well, also, just about as he was about talking, the Defense Minister Daniel Ziankan expressed appreciation to the U.S. government for supporting the Liberian Coast Guard.
Madam Ambassador, I want to take this time to extend my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to you for allowing us to enjoy this facility. More often than not, we pay a lot of attention to our land forces component of the defense sector. Our maritime domain remains a great target for us to look at. And it is a tactical priority for us. For now, we can go from Monrovia to Buchanan, and then we can increase our tactical and operational footprint from here to the port of Greenville.
He is the Minister of National Defense, Daniel Ziankan. Well, for his part, the head of the Liberian Coast Guard, John Willey, promised that the Coast Guard will do all they can in line with its mandate to curtail illegal crimes on Liberian waters.
As law enforcement mission that we carry on, as well as military responsibilities, to be able to curtail illegal crimes on the waters, we at Liberian Coast Guard mandated to carry on these duties, where we use the opportunity to interdict illegal fishing and other violators on the Liberian waters. In keeping with this, the Liberian Coast Guard has gone a long way with the help of the United States government in developing the Liberian Coast Guard from a lower strength to a higher strength, wherein there are a lot of constructions. Beginning from today, this new boathouse and previous one, as the previous boathouse at boat station Freeport, LCG headquarters, and living quarters, and also other contributions with respect.
He is John Willey. He is the head of the Liberian Coast Guard. If you're just joining us, then you're at the right spot. You are watching the Week in Review here on LNTV. Today marks the debut edition of the Week in Review. This will bring you a catalogue of major events that have happened throughout the course of the week. I'm Daniel Anchorin. Stay tuned. After this break, we'll be right back. Welcome back to LNTV, the Week in Review. Right here, let's get on to this story now in Pennsville, still on Wednesday of this week, where the mayor of Pennsville City, Pam Berger-Taylor, says 50% of all garbage fees collected by the Liberia Marketing Association should be given to the PCC to help with garbage collection. Pennsville City Mayor Pam Berger-Taylor made the proposal Wednesday when she visited the Gorbachev Market in Red Light.
Next thing you had in your newspaper last week that when you pay garbage fee to LMA can give us some of the money. The LMA people here, I want talking in front of everybody today. I want to talk to everybody today. And you pay to LMA every day. LMA does not. They don't bring no money to Peace Festival Corporation every day to put it in the mayor here, to put it in anybody here. LMA not bring money to us on until 5 occasions now. To bring the fuel here, I got a receipt in my telephone. Every time we put fuel in the machine, every night, that $555 for all the machine that can come here. Every time we've been here for 2 weeks. You have to take the calculator, do 555 times 14 to see how much money we spend on fuel to clean the market here. It's not fair to the city. The city ain't get the money. We got to be begging people. We got to be crediting fuel from Total or from SB Lazard or SB gas station that credited us. Because I say, human being not supposed to live like this.
She's the mayor of the city of Painesville, Pambeja Taylor. Stakeholders in the aviation sector Wednesday held a one-day meeting to discuss issues and challenges affecting the sector. Well, high ticketing prices and difficulties in obtaining visas seems to be major issues. Here's Transport Minister Samuel.
If you are asking me whether we have some issues with challenges with aviation in Liberia, I think that speaks directly to that. Every time we travel, most agencies, at least government agencies, the ticket prices here are so high. The taxes we impose on tickets are high. I've had conversations with almost every stakeholder concerning the price of tickets and what we levy on tickets. Some people leave here, or most people leave here, like my brother said, buy tickets online, or go away to Accra and other places and buy the tickets and travel from there. We have issues with obtaining visas in Liberia. There are people traveling to Schengen countries that must fly to Abidjan or Ghana to get the visa. So they will go to those countries. While there, if and when they get the visa, they buy tickets from there and then fly on to the final destinations. I grew up in Nigeria where you had a lot of airlines. Thailand, Zambia Airways, and many other airlines coming to Nigeria. Now today, we can only boast a few.
Transport Minister Sam Wuru. Well, also speaking, the head of the Liberia Civil Aviation Authority, Emmanuel Nukwe, said they're putting in place some stringent implementation measures to help address some issues affecting the sector.
Civil Aviation Authority, in keeping with the Civil Aviation Act of 2006, is charged with the regulatory oversight of the entire aviation sector of Liberia. By this, LCA is to ensure the stringent implementation of ICAO standards and recommended practices in terms of the execution of critical elements of safety oversight system and aviation security oversight system. There are 8 critical elements of safety and security respectively. Safety critical elements are 1. Primary aviation legislation, 2. Specific operating regulations, 3. State aviation system and safety oversight functions, 4. Technical qualification and training, 5. Technical guidance, tools, and the provision for safety critical information, 6. Licensing, certification.
He's the head of the Liberia Civil Aviation Authority, Emmanuel Nukwe, there speaking. Well, there have been lots of issues in the news this week. One of them is the National Center for Documents and Records, making it a prerequisite for people to obtain bachelorhood or spinsterhood certificates before marriage. While the communications director at the CNDRA says the process started since September of 2018, but it's been reinforced due to the drastic drop in the price from $150 to now just $15. He said the new process will now serve as a prerequisite to obtaining marriage certificate or documents.
A prerequisite, yes. That's the newest angle, but it started last year. And
so before you get married,
you obtain the single status certificate, the bachelorhood certificate, the spinster, the bachelorhood for men, the spinster for women.
So now, people have been wondering, and the question has been coming over and over: why make it a prerequisite for getting married?
It's very simple. It's something you yourself can attest to, if I would say. But there's this issue of people getting married, and they want to remarry. We're all going through the divorce process, so they will run to the archives for marriage certificate. And under the law, if you marry and attempting to remarry or divorce, it's bigamy, and it's a crime. So what we've noticed that we will ask you what you're doing is wrong, and we'll call you to the Ministry of Justice for unlawful prosecution. It's not good for our society. It's something we need to discourage.
So why not enforce that law instead of trying to make, getting your bachelorhood certificate?
Because it's creating a problem. Daniel, there are so many people, when you attend wedding ceremonies, people can fight. People fight. Or I attended a wedding ceremony.
Well, he's the Director of Communications at the National Archives. It can be recalled that several months ago, the government hospital in Grand-Bassa County got burned due to fire disaster. Well, the governor of Liberia this Thursday made available 50,000 United States dollars, 500 gallons of fuel, and ambulance to the government-run hospital in Buchanan City, Grand-Bassa County. Janjek Bakwa is the superintendent. He spoke when two key government officials visited the facility on Thursday.
God that the president sent able lieutenants, they have promised to give 50,000 to start the work through the MPA. They gave some donation, 2 motorbikes. You know how to get it. They already tell you how you're going to get it.
In an ambulance.
In an ambulance. So we're getting there. I think you'll see around here. We try to work on the roads already, so that the ambulance can be bouncing with the patients. It is difficult, but we can help to do some. We may not do all, but we're here to work along with our caucus, national government, to make sure that the right thing happens for our people.
He is the superintendent there of Grand-Bassa County, Janjek Bakwe. Well, several local communities across Liberia are expected to benefit from additional road construction projects from the CDC-led government. The borough of Nukutan will be the newest among many communities to see double chip seal initiative by this government. The new method, according to the Public Works Minister, is inexpensive and can last for about 10 years. He spoke in an ELBC interview.
We are also trying to develop some of our communities. And the decision that has been taken by the Ministry of Public Works, and which now has the blessing of the President, is that connecting most of our communities, we're going to use a new method of pavement, which we call using the double chip seal method. Now, the double chip seal is cheaper. It's inexpensive as compared to either concrete pavement or asphalt pavement. But the construction methodology is almost the same, except for the application of asphalt. So we're going to use that in most of our communities, especially the communities in which the traffic volume is not heavy. There's ordinary community roads, which maybe in a month now you have 10, 20 cars passing. That's a lower volume. So for that kind of roads, we need not spend so much money on concrete pavement. And the double chip seal has a lifespan of minimum 10 years. Minimum 10 years. Now with the double chip seal also, at some point in time later on, you can decide to apply asphalt.
Well, Public Works Minister Mabutu Yimpan says several contractors are now being deployed across the southeastern region of Liberia to help keep the corridor roads of the southeast in proper shape ahead of the rainy season.
As I said, there has to be a paradigm shift. We must begin to do things differently. It will take some time, 2-3 years, to be able to pave the road between Ganta and Tapeta. So what is going to happen during the interim, during the period of non-pavement. So what we are doing here at the ministry, we are funding contractors, road contractors, to go out there and maintain the road as it is. So that maintenance will be ongoing while we find a contractor to be able to do the pavement, so that during the rainy season, especially beginning this rainy season that is coming in the next months, that the people traveling from Zouadrou to Tapeta, from Tapeta to Ganta, will not experience anymore the difficulties that they've been going through. And that situation will continue until the road is finally paved. So the nightmare on those major corridors, the nightmare is over. We are now deploying contractors on the road between Grand Cru and Sino, on the road between Greenville in Sino and Grand Bassa, on the road to Cestos. We are deploying contractors to keep the corridors opened. That way we'll have unhindered movement of goods and services. So this is something to which we are committed. So that is going to go on, and while that is ongoing, we'll be working with our international partners. We'll be going through the procurement processes where we'll select contractors to now go on those same corridors to begin the pavement.
Welcome back to LNTV, and this is the Weekend Review. If you're just joining us, I'm Daniel Ankarin. This program is debuting this evening, and of course, every Saturday at 7 p.m. you can join LNTV as we bring you a catalog of those major events that happened throughout the week that you missed. Let's return to our developments now. The Liberia Revenue Authority has arrested a Lebanese national known as Hassan Adibi for tax evasion. Mr. Adibi was arrested on Monday of this week with a briefcase containing gold by custom officers at the Rabas International Airport while attempting to board Royal Air Morocco. Addressing a news conference Monday, LRA Deputy Commissioner Tekan T. King Saki said taxes evaded under the scheme is estimated at $200,000 monthly. Commissioner Saki said preliminary documents retrieved thus far indicate that the suspect was transporting the gold on behalf of Gold Business Center. She said Hassan Adibi processed the customs declaration at the Ministry of Mines and Energy for 97.94 ounces of gold and made a 3% royalty payment into the General Revenue account. Still in other news, the Liberian Senate this week concurred with the House of Representatives on the passage of the Abdullah Kamara Act of Press Freedom. The decision followed recommendations from the Senate Committee on Information, Broadcast, Culture Affairs and Tourism. Following the passage of the act by the lower house in July last year, Thursday's concurrence by the Senate now totally decriminalizes free speech. The Abdullah Kamara Act of Press Freedom now repeals Section 11.11, 11.12, 11.14 of the Liberia Code Revised Penal Law of 1978. These sections of the Penal Law of 1978 criminalizes libel against the president, sedition, and malevolence, but the passage of the KAK Act will now be regarded as civil following the signing of the act into handbill by President George Weah. Two media executives, Philibert Brown and Malcolm Joseph, have lauded the Liberian Senate for concurring with the House of Representatives on the passage of the Abdullah Kamara Act of Press Freedom. They said the action by Liberian lawmakers and the President Weah is overly commendable, especially with the recognition of their former President Abdullah Kamara. The new law upon signature into handbill will now see libel as a civil matter and not a criminal offense.
The President is being extremely far-sighted, and we must give him the necessary praises, especially for keeping our former President Abdullah Kamara name alive, because this is going to keep his footprint in the sand of time. So every time you see, okay, the Abdullah Kamara or decriminalization of free speech, it keeps him alive, it keeps him in our heart. They keep his memory going. So we must tell President Weah, thank you, okay, for being on the side of the media. And this must go a long way in showing that this cultural relationship, you know, that the CDC government, and you know, you give a dividend to who dividend is due. This is given to the CDC government, okay, and this is given to President George Weah, okay, for decriminalizing free speech, okay, and this, what he has done, has opened a big door between the CDC government and the local media to cooperate.
To caution our colleagues out there, the journalists, the fact that this law has been passed, it doesn't mean that it's a gateway for people to report recklessly, unprofessionally, or unethically. We should be guided by what we report. We should be professional in our reportage and make sure that what we bring to the public space is the truth and nothing but the truth.
Well, some Liberian journalists, they're providing their thoughts on the passage of the Abdullahi Kamara Act of Press Freedom by the Liberian Senate, concurring with the House of Representatives. Senators at the Minnesota state in the U.S. have signed a resolution calling on President Donald Trump to extend deferred enforcement departure policy. The policy, after its 2018 extension by the American president, will expire on March 31. According to Senator John Hoffman, who's leading the charge, this will be detrimental to over 3,000 Liberians living in the United States if this decision is not revisited. He read the resolution at a one-day meeting with some of the affected people in Minnesota State, the USA. The President General of the United Seamen Union of Liberia, Samuel Siata, says fishing deal between Liberia and Senegal will employ several trained artisanal fishers in the country. Addressing a press conference Friday, Mr. Siata condemned critics of the deal, noting if the deal is stopped, it will bring untold sufferings to many Liberians. Also, for his part, the Coal Management Association President Yanti Slay maintained that the deal will generate funds to cater to artisanal fishers. Well, let's take a short break. When we come back, we will shortly be wrapping up tonight's edition of the Week in Review. Welcome back to the Week in Review. The President General of the United Seamen of Liberia, Samuel Siata, says the fishing deal between Liberia and Senegal will employ several trained artisanal fishermen in the country. Addressing a press conference Friday, Mr. Siata condemned critics of the deal, noting if the deal is stopped, it will bring untold sufferings to lots of seamen.
Into this month, or early this year, January, we noticed that there is an agreement signed by the Liberian government with the Senegalese government, which brought joy to us in the fishing industry. While I was out of the country as President General for the fisheries industry, we noticed that there were people who spoke negatively against the agreement or the framework. But we understood that many people don't have the knowledge of what is unfolding. So we deemed it necessary to call upon this press release so that we can lay out some facts that will show that this agreement will be in the benefit of the Liberian masses. Not only we as fishermen, but the entire nation. To be very frank, we welcome this agreement whole dearly and solely. And we know that anything that stops this agreement, that means the fishermen are going to suffer again for the next 12 years. We have suffered a lot. We have waited a lot. Just imagine, those who are trained by Mesurado, all of them are old today. We need to produce industrial fishermen. We need to produce people that after we shall have left, they'll be able to take over.
Well, for his part, the Coal Management Association President Yanti Slay maintained that this deal will generate funds for the country to be able to cater to artisanal fishermen.
That is being talked about around town. It's a fine document for the Liberian people. Because if you read the deal, even exports, the deal is saying every catch that these vessels are going to bring will be landed in Liberia. And even if they will do export, because they have to send some to their country, the export will be done in Liberia, and they are going to pay export fee. So that money coming to the country. That money coming to the country. And so when the money is being generated by the fishery division, this money will be used on the fishermen, and the life of the fishermen will be improved. And two, the fish will be sold by our local fishmonger. Our mommy will sell this fish. The Senegalese are not coming with their women to sell fish for them, as our brothers are doing, they have their women selling. So my brothers, we want you to help us to dispel this notion that the government has brought people to deplete our waters. The 6 nautical miles is being reserved for the artisanal fisheries. And we as the CMA, we are the watchdog. We are there watching to protect this area so that...
Well, folks, that's all we have for you tonight on the Weekend Review right here on LNTV. Hope you enjoyed it, but it's going to come your way every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. I'd like to say many thanks to our producers who helped in making this package a success. I've been your anchor for this evening, Daniel Anchor. Have a great weekend, and bye-bye from my end. 2019 is a year of lots of goodies. LNTV presents the Week in Review, a 45-minute news program that features all of the happenings of the week. This program is packaged exclusively to fill you in with information you may have missed out on during the week. Join us live on LNTV every Saturday at 7 p.m. for the program The Week in Review. Trust it, believe it, and don't miss it. As a means of bringing the news closer to you, LNTV presents
LNTV
the Daily Language News segment. Oh yes, it's back on LNTV.
My nyaru any $7 asta v kaba I mobile roja.
Crebo a German can come to Crago Sylvester Giro. A sending on Modi Moboja Friday any way. Then I'm on LNTV Marinion at the Noa. Emokana ya Decodoni Radio Goro at the Asia at LNTV Giro on Modi Moboja Friday.
Kisiala Osa KNA Stamani Nabe Mavelo Asaboti Achuali.
Catch your favorite language newscaster Monday to Friday at 12:05